The Rock and Roll Coffee Show is brought to you by Writers and Rockers Coffee Company, keeping the music and memories alive with some damn good coffee. Visit them at writersandrockerscoffee.com. And Retroactive, located at Broadway at the Beach in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. 70s, 80s, 90s retro. ShopRetroactive.com.
It's the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. Yeah, we do.
Hey, welcome back to the Rock and Roll and Coffee Show. I am Joe Sibilia. Thanks for joining me. If you are new to the program, please make sure you subscribe here on YouTube so you don't miss a thing. My guest this week is Ronnie Simmons. Ronnie is an Australian-based, LA-based, actually was born in Australia, LA-based guitar player. He's a guitar player for the bands Faster Pussycat, Motochrist, and is currently on tour with Richie Ramone from the Ramones. He will be working on some new material of his own to be released in 2023, hopefully. If you want to find out more about Ronnie, visit ronnie.simmons.com. I talked to Ronnie about his, when he started playing guitar up until his move to the States, and then what he's currently up to. Hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Thanks for watching. So, Ronnie, let's talk a little bit about, let's go way back. Let's go back to Australia. When you first started getting into music, learning guitar, what was the scene like in Australia? Like, how did you find rock and roll?
That's a really good question. Like, I first got into it as a real young kid. I think I was like 7 or 8, and I saw Back to the Future and that scene at the end where he does Johnny Be Good. I kind of went,
yeah,
that's cool. I want to do that. And then, over time, picked up learning guitar as, I was about 10 years old. And I grew up in Sydney City, like a suburb called Newtown in the inner west on King Street, which runs pretty much into the heart of the city. And that suburb was like an artist's hub and paradise around that time. It was all the punks and goths and music venues, and there was a really healthy live rock scene. So it didn't take too long for me to, walking out my front door, being into this kind of music, kind of sussing out where those hubs kind of were. And I always, I gravitated towards those kind of bands, like the rock bands and the punk bands, that I just wanted it to rub off on me. And before I was in amongst it all. And before, then I had my own band, and then started supporting those bands, and then was a part of the scene. And it was a really, really cool time, like, pre-smartphone, pre-social media.
Yeah. Now, was it really big like it was in the because you grew up in the 80s, right? In the early 90s.
I was born in the 80s.
Yeah.
This is like around 2003, 2004 is when I hit the live pub scene. So I got it wasn't like the 80s in, say, King's Cross in the heyday of, Divinals, Rose Tattoo, Screaming Jets. I wish I could have been a part of that, but I kind of got the tail end of the live Sydney rock scene when it was still pumping pretty hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then did you hit you said you hit the club scene out there when you started playing?
Yeah. I've been playing bars since I was about 14, 15 years old.
Oh geez.
So, yeah, I was like in 10th grade, and my bandmates were all 20 plus and covered in tats, hanging down at the pub. And at first mum and dad were a little nervous, but then it didn't take long until it was like, oh hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I think that's how it usually works with rock and roll. Well, not all the time. I mean, some are, but I remember my parents were same way. But, yeah. So you started playing out there, and then when did you come to the States? Not too long ago, right?
2013 was my first US tour, and then I moved to LA in 2014.
Okay. And why did you think you needed to move to LA?
Well, it was interesting. What brought me out here in 2013 was playing with an Australian band supporting Faster Pussycat. We did their US tour and their European tour, and that pretty much took up all of 2013. And at the end of that, it went so well. Faster Pussycat were like, do you want to do it again next year? And we were like, yeah, sounds good. And management sorted it all out, and the plan was, let's all relocate. And through a series of events, I was the only one that actually showed up.
Oh no.
And then I've been here ever since.
Well, tell me that story. What happened with that?
Um, well, basically, there was a series of events where certain band members couldn't come out, and I'd already moved out here. I showed up with literally a suitcase, my Les Paul, and was like, "All right, let's do this." And then after a couple of weeks of me being out here, got the news that all right, they're not coming. And then I had the guys
Mm,
in Faster Pussycat going, "Well, where's our support band?" I'm like, I don't know. Believe
I'm
me,
right here.
yeah, I'm right here. So, uh, fast forward to Danny and Chad went, "Hey man, do you want to play the whiskey with Motochrist?" When all this happened, I went, "Yeah, sure." When? And they went, "Tomorrow." And I went, "All right." Went home, learnt the songs, and then jumped up with them at the whiskey. And after that, I just kind of bounced from band to band to band, and that was 2014, and I've been here since. I just didn't go back.
Wow, that's a hell of a
Yeah,
story. So you've known those guys for a while then,
yeah, about a decade. Like, yeah,
before you
we go
got
back.
into the band.
Yeah, it's like we were, like I said, I toured with them, toured the world. We did the States, we did Europe. And when I first moved out here, they were kind of my home base, really. Like, they were my friends. And that
Hmm.
kind of led into me joining the band down the track. Was we were already mates. And when they
Hmm.
asked me, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I was like, sure, let's do it.
Sure, of course, yeah. So you were right there. So playing with Danny and Chad in Motochrist, is that when you first like started playing with them officially?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 2014 at the Whiskey, and then that led into also me meeting Mark Diamond, that plays in the Dwarves as well as Motochrist, who I ended up living with at one point in time down the track. And he also coincidentally plays on the new Richie Ramone album with me, because we did a tour of the Dwarves and Richie Ramone. So it's a
Okay.
very, very, very small world. But yeah, I had started playing with them then, and that led to me playing on the Chrome album in 2015. So I co-wrote some of those songs, and I played guitar on those tracks with Motochrist. And that's how I met Gilby, which led to me meeting Frankie Clark, and how I ended up playing with Frankie and the Studs. And it's this whole like little web of, you
So
know,
it really is kind of who you know.
yeah, and well, and also how you play and act.
Yeah, well, of course, that's a given, but
But yeah, it's a very, very small world. It's not even 6 degrees of separation. It's like two.
yeah, right, right. So tell me about Richie Ramone. I mean, how long have you been playing with them?
I've been playing with Richie since 2016. But when I first came out here in 2013, he was one of the first people I ever met
Hmm.
through like the band that brought me out. His management. I sat down with him and Rodney Bingenheimer and his friend Brett Smith, who's an editor, and they were the kind of first people I met, even before the guys in Faster Pussycat. And I've kind of had this look since I was about 14 years old. So we're sitting at Cantor's, and he's looking across at me like, "It's Ramon." And he actually jumped up with the band I was playing with, and we did Something to Do by the Ramones, and we became friends again, and we stayed in touch. And then 2016, like early 2016, I got a phone call saying his guitarist at the time, for whatever reason, had left. Did I want to do it? And I was like, sure, let's go. And uh like the Ramones are one of my biggest influences. So
Really?
that was a big dream come true. And we've been really close friends ever since. We actually just finished recording his new record, and that's just been mastered. I heard yesterday. I was on the phone to Richie, and so that'll be coming
Nice.
out soon.
And
You know,
you wrote on this record as well?
I got to play on this record, and that was really cool. Yeah, we did that out here, and like I got off touring with Faster Pussycat and went straight into the recording studio with Richie. Like I
Hmm.
think a couple of days later, and then after that went on the road with him again. It's been a very, very busy year.
Yeah, you've been nonstop.
Yeah, like since February, really. Like up and like this stint here, which has been like 3 weeks back in LA, is the
Uh-huh.
longest time I've had to sleep in my own bed since the start of the year.
Oh, geez. And then you're getting ready to go out again.
Yeah, South America next week. We're doing Brazil, Chile, Argentina, Mexico, and Guatemala, and that'll take me up to just before Christmas.
Wow. And Faster Pussycat, aren't they doing Australia soon?
Yeah, we're headlining Glamfest, which is going to be really exciting. So it's a big festival with us. Wednesday 13, Enough's Enough, Pretty Boy Floyd, um, a whole bunch of really cool Australian bands like Department of Gloom and Star Crazy, featuring guys I grew up with. That it's
Yeah.
like, cool. We're gonna be sharing a bill. I haven't seen you in years, mate. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we're doing the 25th, 26th, 27th, and 28th of January, which is Australia Day weekend. It's kind of like our 4th of July.
Oh wow.
So that's we're playing Melbourne on the 25th, which that'll be really cool.
Has Faster Pussycat ever been in Australia?
Yes, they
Hmm.
have. I'm pretty sure back in 2000. Actually, I went to the show. Actually,
Oh yeah.
yeah, 2008. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. And they played
Okay.
the Metro in Sydney, and I went down to that show, and I didn't get to actually meet or know the guys at that point. But yeah, I was a punter in the crowd at that show for that tour.
Yeah, that's going to be a blast.
I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't been back to Australia and toured like that in a while, so it's going to be really really cool to see everyone.
You got all your friends ready to come to the show?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a blast. It's really really looking forward to it.
So, do you find it difficult? Well, I want to say difficult, but juggling all these bands and all these projects, does that start to get a little hectic for you? And does it get?
Hectic's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a lot,
Mhm.
and I don't take a second of it for granted. But the hardest part is making sure it runs smoothly, and I don't want to let anyone down. And
Right.
luckily, this year's been really really pretty cruisy. Everything's kind of lined up pretty evenly, so I've been able to have my cake and eat it too,
Mhm.
and just do all of it.
Now, have you had to face any conflicts with that? Like, if Fast Pussycat's doing something and then something comes up with Richie and you got two things going at the same time? Has that happened to you?
Not specifically yet.
Good.
And
Okay.
luckily, other members in the group also playing in other acts.
Yeah.
That I'm not the only one juggling a schedule like that, and that's very
Hmm.
common in LA for lots of people to be in multiple bands. So I'm just doing my best to make it work, and you know,
It's awesome. You're staying
I
busy.
just want to do it all.
Yeah, yeah. No, I see a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people, it's very common. A lot of people are doing that these days. And yeah, I guess that's just the thing you do.
Yeah, that's it. It's I wish I could clone myself so I could never have to worry about that anxiety of, oh no, is anything going to overlap? But
Yeah. Yeah.
no, luckily everyone's been really really cool.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, Now you played in a band called the Raskins. Was that what it was called? You filled in or you played or what?
Yeah, they hired me to do a tour. That
Okay.
was in 2014. Yeah, I did the Motley Crue Alice Cooper final tour.
Yeah. How was that? I mean, that's like a huge tour.
That was cool, man. I got to play the Madison Square Garden sold out opening for Motley Crue and Alice Cooper, and
Yeah.
through that it led to me making friends with the guys in the Alice Cooper band, and then after that, I'm in a couple of Tommy Hendrickson's music videos and got to work with him, and we became really good mates, and it was really really cool. Like that kind of happened after not long after playing with Motochrist at the Whiskey and being like, okay, I've moved here. Where's my band? To, hey, do you want to go tour stadiums playing with Motley Crue and Alice Cooper? I was like, yeah, let's
So
go. So,
that's crazy. So you move here, your band doesn't follow you, and all of a sudden you're just getting all this work.
yeah, I did throw myself in the deep end and hustle. Like I was out nearly 7 nights a week in Hollywood, passing out guitar picks with my details on it and being like, who needs a guitarist? And I'm here and
Nice.
learning sets basically overnight to go and then do gigs with whoever I could. But
Hmm.
I I was very very fortunate that it did kind of unfold like that.
Hmm.
And
Now,
yeah, and that was fun.
are you a fast learn? Like if someone calls you and says, "Hey, we need you in 2 days," are you pretty quickly you can learn the songs?
Yeah, and learning songs of that volume and that speeds, it's a skill in itself that you can practice it. It's like it's a frame of mind you can get into, and from and years of experience help. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's it's never easy to learn that many songs in a short amount of time,
Yeah, I would
but
think there'd be some
it it,
pressure.
it can be done. It can be done.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. And then tell me about your solo stuff because you have a lot of solo stuff out.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I'm heading into the recording studio this Friday, and Richie Ramone's playing drums on I'm doing a solo LP
Wow,
because
nice.
this year I put out because I've been writing and writing songs since I was back in Australia
Hmm.
because I had a band that was my band called Lust back there that's how I kind of cut my chops on the Australian scene. You know, we toured with bands like the Screaming Jets, Angry Anderson from Rose Tattoo, Doc Neeson from Angel City, or the Angels as we call them in Australia, and that led up to me then being hired by the band that brought me out here. But that was the band where I wrote the songs and I did everything. And after that, I've kind of been a hired gun for the past decade. So I've got all these songs that have been building up over the years. And I've for this L, like I sat back, and when I started touring this year, I was like, I should start putting something out. Like I've been sitting on I don't want these to gather dust on a hard drive any longer. And during COVID, I picked up a gig composing for film and TV. So I'd record instrumental songs for like Discovery Channel, Hallmark, UFC, this kind of stuff. And one day there was an SM58 sitting around, and I went, you know what, I'm gonna put vocals on one of these songs. And I sent it to my boss. He's like, this is really good. You should do more of this. I was like,
you
know
never
what?
did it before?
I demo before with other bands I'd played in, but it's like I really kind of honed my chops on recording and producing during COVID, during lockdown, you know, sitting in lockdown. So I just had a, you know what, yeah, I'm just going to do this and give it a shot. And then it came to touring this year. I went, I'm going to put something out to let the world know, like, I do have a voice and I can write and I can produce, but mainly just art for the sake of art. Like I wanted to put something out. And then people started reacting and going, you know, do a record. Why don't you put an album out? Why don't you put it, you know, are you going to do your own thing? And I went, I'm going to do this properly. And I was hanging out with Richie the other night at a bar. We went to a gig and he's like, I'll play on your record. I went, cool, let's do it. So before we hit the road, I'm going to go in, we're going to track all the drums. I got 15 songs. That's I think an hour's worth of music. So it's like whether when it comes out, it's going to be released as 15 songs, I don't know. But that's how many, I'm sitting on a lot of material. So I'm going to record all the drums, hit the road for South America, and then spend Christmas in the studio I'm sitting in talking to you, doing everything else.
Nice. So are you playing bass and guitar and singing?
Yeah, at this point, I'm going to be doing as well as saxophone as well, because I'm also a sax player. So there's a couple of ska punk kind of songs in there. So I figured I'll bust out the saxophone as well.
I noticed in some of your songs you got that little raspy kind of ska punk voice.
Yeah, the scratchy voice.
yeah. But you also got a clean voice too, cleaner.
Yeah, I got multiple voices. I guess it's stylistically, and it's I never really considered myself a singer. I was always a guitarist. I just kind of open my mouth and whatever comes out that sounds the way that I think suits the song is what I go with. But since doing that, I've been looking down avenues of which way to go about it. So when the album comes out, you'll hear what it's become.
yeah. So you ever see yourself just singing?
Oh, I'd love to. Like, just
be a singer?
I feel a little naked without a guitar in my hand. But having said that, never say never. Anything's possible. Right. So it's like the future's unwritten. I've had a lot of people tell me that I should put my own band together, but being only 24 hours in the day and being only one of me, as we've mentioned, juggling,
just being add one more thing to it.
Yeah. But like I said, never say never. The future is unwritten, and I love singing. It's one of my favorite things to do. Like especially on the road, if there's a night off or something. It's not unusual to find me singing along to AC/DC songs at karaoke.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. Is there any video of that anywhere?
I think there is on my Facebook group, the Ronnie Simmons group on Facebook. I think there's footage of me doing that somewhere. I can't remember if it's Shreveport or I think it happened in Edinburgh as well. It's a reoccurring.
Were you a big AC/DC fan growing up?
Oh, huge. Yeah. Like Bon Scott's one of my favorite frontmen ever, and being fortunate enough to have been invited to play on stage with Rose Tattoo back in 2013, that were a part of the Alberts record scene, and now Mark Evans, that was on all the AC/DC record, those early Bon Scott records, now plays with them. So like AC/DC were a big influence on me, along with Rose Tattoo, the Angels, Cold Chisel, all that Aussie rock stuff. It's it was a mix of, the joke I make is I'm caught somewhere between CBGBs and an Australian pub.
Are you a Bon guy or a Brian guy?
Oh, Bon. I like Brian, but if am I a Bon guy? Yeah, I'm a Bon guy all the way.
Um, so saxophone, you said you play saxophone.
Yeah, that was actually I played saxophone before I played guitar. I've got it sitting next to me here actually. I've had it since I was about far out 8 years old. I still, it's one of those things that I played it in the school band, and I actually played the Sydney Opera House with one of my school bands playing
Really?
saxophone, where we covered Rock Lobster by the B-52s. I would have been about 10 years old.
Oh man, I hear that song every time I'm at work at the retro shop. It's on.
Yeah,
It's on our playlist.
I love that shop, by the way. It's one of the coolest record stores I've ever been to in my life.
Thanks, man. That was fun, huh? That was a
Yeah,
good
that was a
time.
really cool day. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just kind of kept up with the sax. I just, I didn't give it up.
Hmm.
And I played saxophone on the Motochrist Chrome album. Actually, songs like "Make It Rain." If you listen to saxophone on that, that's me.
Hmm. I'm gonna listen again now that I know that. I
Yeah,
was just listening to that album today. That's good stuff. Are you guys still a band?
yeah. The band gigs. It's like whenever that was actually, I jumped up with them for Ricky Vodka's birthday. When I'd just gotten back from the last Richie Ramone tour, I got back from London and played with them. And Gilby got up and Tammy got up. It was a really cool celebration. But it's one of those things of whenever I'm available and in town.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The new Faster Pussycat record that should be out sometime, right?
Yeah, the new single Ghost comes out at the end of this month, I'm pretty sure, and through Golden Robot Records. And I cannot be more excited. Like it's one of the coolest songs that, like, Tammy played it to me and I went, "Whoa,
Yeah.
this is awesome." I was around his the other day putting vocals on some songs and some stuff. So it's really, really exciting. And I wish I could say more, but the reveal will happen in time.
Will happen soon, right?
Yeah,
Now
yeah.
you didn't play on anything on the album, did you? Was that already done when you came in the band?
That the tracks were pretty much done. I came in and I did a bunch of vocals on the songs.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And then Ghost, this new song, you haven't played that live, right?
No, the band hasn't played that live yet. No. So
Okay.
I'm hoping we add that to the repertoire for Australia.
Hmm.
Time will tell.
Right. Is there any more shows for Fast Pussycat besides that? Are you guys going on another round or?
Everything for next year is in the works, but next year is going to be another very, very busy year of touring, I can tell. But
Hmm.
as
Good.
as far as what's in front of me at this point, I've got, yeah, Richie Ramone in South America starting next week, and then Australia for those days.
It's
And
awesome. You got an
um,
exciting life going on right now, bud.
oh yeah, it's been non-stop, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about playing with Sam. Sam's been on the show.
Oh,
He's a,
I
he's a
love
great
it.
guy. I mean, he's a great guitarist too. Do you guys like share guitar licks back and forth? And
Yeah, it was really cool. Like once I came into the group, we kind of put our heads together and went, what can we do? So there's a lot of things where he's such a great guitarist and such an easygoing guy, just like myself. It was a matter of, we both said we just want to make this as cool as we can. So like putting the harmonies in the House of Pain solo, doing the twin guitar harmony like we do in Don't Change That Song. We kind of went through, and it was a matter of, because we've got two lead guitarists,
Mhm.
and I just look at it as we just play guitar.
Yeah,
It's not a matter of who's lead, who's rhythm. It's like we just play guitar. Like he definitely takes more leads than I do, but I have no problem with that. Like it's
yeah.
it's fun.
No, you guys were definitely. It seemed like you guys been together for a long time when I saw you guys. I mean, you
Yeah,
guys.
a lot of people mention that we gel really, really well.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's nice to work with another guitarist that has such a great ear and can move really, really quickly. And it's like, do you want to put a harmony on this? Yeah, let's do it. Give it yeah. The attitude in the rehearsal room was like, well, let's try it out and see what works. And
Yeah,
it's good. It is good.
yeah. Why not, right?
Whilst also trying to keep it as close to the original legacy as possible. Like that was also, very, very strong in our minds, is doing the records justice.
Hmm.
Trying to
Does
keep it as,
Tammy let you kind of go off on your own like that, or does he want to keep it pretty straightforward?
um it's getting the songs as close to the record as possible and playing the parts right. It's definitely a priority.
Hmm.
And our approach is kind of like, let's get it together and then show everyone, and then let them make their mind up. It's like, what do you guys think of this? And more often than not, it's like, that sounds great. Do that. We're like, all right, cool.
Oh, that's great. So future plans, you said you got a busy 2023 coming up. You're going to put a record out.
Yeah, I'll be putting out my own solo LP somewhere along the line. Richie Ramone's got a new record coming out. Faster Pussycat's got the new record coming out. There'll be definitely touring. The touring aspect past January is all being kind of organized behind the scenes as we speak. So I wish I had, more answers to that, but it's still being figured out. But I'm looking forward to having another very busy year.
It sounds like you're setting one up.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. How do you like being over here in the States?
I love it, man. It's like, I've been here nearly 10 years. Like, to be able to do what I've done means the world to me. Like, at the end of the day, like, rock and roll was it's American culture. You guys kind of invented it. The rest of the world reciprocated. So to come here and be able to play rock and roll to people across the States and have people react the way they have means the world to me, man. Like, it's really, really cool. And I'm very grateful and aware that not everyone gets to do it. So I'm just making the most of it.
That's awesome, man. Have you talked to the band that left you here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I went back to Australia briefly at the start of the year, and it's life's too short to hold grudges, man. Like,
you tell me you should have came.
It's all good.
Yeah. Well, it seems to work out for you. That's awesome, bud.
Thanks, man.
All right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time joining me here.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
The Rock and Roll Coffee Show. Do you drink coffee?
I love coffee. I drink a lot of coffee.
Do you? You know, we have a Rock and Roll Coffee Show coffee now. So
I'm looking forward to trying it.
I don't know if I have. Let me see. Thought I had some here, but I don't. That's what I'm drinking. Yes. Actually, I do. Hold on one second. Right there. Look at that.
Oh, nice.
Rock and Roll Coffee Show from Writers and Rockers Coffee. It's fantastic.
Awesome. I love it.
So, anybody out there wants to pick some up, pick it up. What's that?
I'm looking forward to having a cup of it.
Yeah, it's great. All right, Ronnie. Thanks, bud.
Thank you very much. All right, have a good one.
We'll see you.
Cheers.